Hi, everybody, and thank you for joining today's webcast. We're going to be diving into master data management for Salesforce.com and talking quite a bit about Veeva systems and really focusing on how Informatica can help drive business value in the area of CRM in the life sciences and pharmaceutical organizations. So I'm going to start today with the polling question. How many of you, we just want to get a sense for people on the call today to understand where you are with your software as a service application adoption. We talk to companies at Informatica who have are really just embarking on this journey. They have no SaaS applications in-house yet. We certainly talk to a lot of customers who have Salesforce.com or Veeva or other SaaS applications that might surround that system. So 1 to 3, 4 to 10, or over 10 cloud applications. Now, Informatica, we're a company of almost 3,000 employees, and we have almost 100 cloud applications in our IT organization. So we're absolutely cloud first, and increasingly we're talking to companies who are moving in this direction. So just wanted to get a sense of where you are before we dive into today's discussion. So today's agenda is quite rich. We have Josh Minton is going to provide a detailed demonstration of Informatica Cloud for Salesforce in action. So you're going to see and be able to ask some specific questions for Josh, who is one of our primary specialists on Informatica Cloud MDM, all about how it works and how it might help you in your organization. Ravi Shankar is here to tie it all together to really help you understand how Informatica thinks about and is implementing MDM from a universal multi-domain perspective, and really tie together what you're seeing Josh and I cover from a cloud MDM perspective with the broader universal MDM from Informatica. So that's today's agenda, and it looks like from the polling questions, most of you, good news is nobody's at the none yet stage, so you're all moving into the cloud. The majority are at the 1 to 3 point, and I suspect most of it is around Salesforce or Veeva from a CRM perspective. And some of you are more moving into the next stage of 4 to 10 cloud applications. So great. Let's dive into a brief overview of Informatica Cloud MDM and Informatica Cloud in general before we hand it over to Josh to show you what it all looks like. So at Informatica, we've seen over the last few years 3 primary cloud data management challenges. I think the first one has been the obvious one, which is how to ensure that these cloud applications do not end up as disconnected data silos. So we've spent a lot of time with customers helping them integrate cloud applications with on-premise systems, often in a front office, back office kind of use case, where you're connecting, say, Salesforce CRM to SAP, and you want to make sure that you have things like opportunities and orders nicely synchronized. The next the stage of really data management challenge that we've seen is it might even be the first that most organizations struggle with, is getting that single view of a customer, even within a single org or instance of your CRM environment. And that's really where we're going to spend our time today. But I also want to let you know that Informatica is moving into the next stage, which is great. We've helped our CRM system get up and running. We've made sure that's not a disconnected silo. We're now starting to deliver a single version of our customers across CRM environments or even within the single CRM system. The next stage we've been spending a lot of time with customers on is how do we then make sure that users are actually highly efficient and effective. And we're moving more and more into process integration and process automation at Informatica. And Josh will touch on a little bit of that in his demonstration. So today's focus is clearly going to be on getting a single customer view and focusing on customer master data. Now, I probably don't need to spend too much time articulating the benefits of having a single view, but I'll just do that very, very quickly. From what we've seen from our customers who have made this investment early on, are at the right stage of adoption within CRM, is around increasing revenue. So improved cross-sell, upsells, marketing campaign effectiveness, conversion rates, and so forth. Improving customer success is probably the most obvious, getting that single view of your customer and really understanding how you should be interacting with them and making the right investment decisions as a result of having that information at your fingertips. And then finally, reducing risks. So having credible forecasts, having the ability to trust the reports, and really growing in the adoption of CRM. Now, the risk that we've talked about specific to the data quality area or the data management side of things are often threefold. So first and foremost is having incomplete or inaccurate, or what we talk a lot to customers about is a lot of duplicate data within the CRM environment. The second is then having, as we've talked a little bit about already, is having those disconnected systems, but not only disconnected from other systems, but even disconnected from each other. We do talk to a lot of organizations that struggle with multiple orgs or instance of Salesforce. So being able to figure out the right strategy of consolidating and managing across multiple CRM environments. And many organizations actually have this as a deployment strategy where they do want independence and autonomy within specific geographies or divisions. So having multiple orgs or instances of Salesforce isn't necessarily a bad thing. And then finally, Josh is going to spend quite a bit of time on the hierarchy management area. So Informatica Cloud has really evolved over the last few years. Where we've started, of course, is on the area of cloud integration. So making sure that you can easily connect systems, and we have a broad range of connectivity available with our cloud integration service. The next layer for us is moving into cloud data quality and master data management, which is what we're going to be showing you in today's demonstration. And as I mentioned, moving into process automation. So Informatica Cloud is really evolved into a suite of capabilities and services, all delivered in the cloud, on demand, and more information is available at informaticacloud.com. So today's focus is really on how does this relate to life sciences and pharmaceutical companies. So we wanted to provide you with a brief overview of Informatica Cloud MDM and walk through at a high level what a typical implementation will look like before we show it to you in action. So the first thing you should know about Informatica Cloud MDM is it is built natively on the Force.com platform. So we decided, and we saw that there was really a need to, from a customer data perspective, to have a native system, native MDM option that's available to run right within your CRM environment. So to be able to deduplicate the healthcare professional or the healthcare organizational data right within where your users are working, to prevent duplicates at the point of entry, and get that single view across your CRM environment. So this is what Informatica Cloud MDM is enabling for our customers. And I'm just going to walk you through a typical kind of deployment before I hand it over to Josh to show you Informatica Cloud MDM. So we're seeing three interesting use cases starting to emerge in the area of life sciences and pharmaceuticals in particular. So one, as I briefly mentioned, is a regional type of deployment where you're deploying Informatica Cloud MDM locally, but you're consolidating globally. You're building regional hubs potentially out for specific regions or geographies that may be outside of the U.S. And we've seen organizations deploy CRM and give them certain level of autonomy, say in Latin America or in EMEA, but making sure that it all ties back to the customer master data and product master data in the hub, which Ravi will talk about from a universal MDM perspective. The second is in the area of affiliations, being able to track your HCOs and HTTP relationships across all systems, and then be able to elicit feedback and engage with the field. And Josh will speak to that from a hierarchy perspective in his demonstration. And then finally, of course, data quality. So having a point of entry management capability for all your users, and ultimately improving the reporting and decision making. So these are three use cases we're seeing emerge for Informatica Cloud MDM, which really ties back to how you can deploy Cloud MDM in conjunction with your multi-domain MDM from Informatica. So what does that mean from a process flow? So here we're going to go through you cleanse, you integrate, enrich, consolidate, relate, and extend. This is a typical type of implementation. So first of all, is cleansing, is sealing off the points of entry, validating addresses. We have the ability to validate and cleanse addresses from over 260 global address databases and directories, all having this done natively within the CRM environment, so your users don't have to go to another system to get that single version of the truth. The second is on integration, of course, being able to connect to multiple systems, both other cloud apps and on-premise systems. And I should mention that Informatica Cloud has been recognized 5 years in a row by Salesforce customers as the #1 data integration solution on AppExchange, something we're very proud of. The next step would be being able to enrich your data, being able to bring in the hierarchies and have it really giving that golden version of customer data within, again, right where the users are working, but also to be able to bring in third-party data, so augmenting your existing system with customer data from other sources. Then we've talked briefly already about consolidating across multiple systems. This may not be something your organization is dealing with. It really depends on the deployment model and the history you have with CRM within your organization. Being able to relate advanced account hierarchies, being able to model more robust relationships, and then import relationships from other systems into that CRM view for your users. And then the last two, which is then really important from an operational reporting perspective, is tying this all back to your dashboards. Being able to engage your dashboards and work with dashboards at any level of the hierarchy, which ultimately will drive best practices and innovation across geographies and brands. And then we're talking to a lot of customers about that next mile, which is extending the Force.com platform and getting into being able to work with social sources, all without having to write code, doing it natively on the within the CRM platform. Again, taking advantage of Force.com and really maximizing overall return on investment from CRM. So that's a brief overview from a process flow and specific capabilities perspective. But now I'm going to hand it over to Josh to really show you what this all means from an end user perspective.
Excellent. Thank you, Darren. And hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. I'd like to walk everyone through the architectural and functional overview of the Cloud MDM product. My heritage is with Salesforce itself. I've been working on that platform for about 10 years now. And in particular, I've been working with the Cloud MDM product for about the last year and a half. So I have quite a bit of experience working with this product and implementing it. And I do have a couple pieces of slides that we'll walk through here. A couple things to note about this product. One primarily is that it's built right on Force.com technology. That means it's native to Salesforce or Veeva or whatever ISV application you're installing it in. That means it's a managed package. You install it on your particular org. It's composed of Apex code, Visualforce, custom objects, everything you would expect when you download something off the AppExchange. And it is managed by Informatica. The second thing is Cloud MDM deploys a complete business logic package inside of the Force.com environment, and we do this within a unique data space that's created by the system. We can consider it a staging environment, if you will. And all of the behavior of that business logic is configurable completely within the Force.com application. And I'm going to navigate over to an actual Salesforce org here into the background. And I'm going to click on the schema builder here. What we're looking at is an actual Salesforce.com org, but Veeva, of course, being an application built on Force.com, is composed of the same essential skeletal framework here. What we're looking at are the 3 standard customer objects in Salesforce: lead, contact, account. The account object was always intended to be a global view object. So I can go to any account record and gain visibility into these secondary objects like contacts, opportunities, etc., as well as the tertiary objects that hang off of those, like activities. So I could go to any of these account records and get a nice roll-up summary of all of that information. Cloud MDM, when it creates that unique data space, as I zoom out here, you may notice that we have 2 custom objects that hang under the surface here. These are the 2 primary objects that create that unique staging environment data space, and we call them the bean and the master bean. The bean has nothing to do with Java beans. If you're a developer, it's just a name for a generic holder of data in the system, and it doesn't matter whether the data is contact information. Cloud MDM makes no distinction between leads and contacts in Salesforce. They're all just people, so we call them all contacts. Or if it's account information, custom object information, any third-party or back-end data. So if you purchase marketing lists, if you have a relationship with a third-party data provider, those types of relationships, those can all be defined as separate data sources of bean. These beans are then poured through a probabilistic fuzzy matching engine that is completely configurable within this application. and they are aggregated underneath common master records that we'll call the master bean. Those master records are then intimately associated with that single global view object on the system, and so Cloud MDM comes in to effectively create a three-tier data mastering structure directly inside the Force.com application, which is completely configurable to your specific business use case. So as I close this down, I'm going to pop back to slideware for one brief moment. And this screen shows basically a blowout of what we just looked at with that relationship diagram. Up at the top here, we've got leads, contacts, accounts, and custom objects in Force.com. And then we've got in light green the functionality, the attributes of system that all Force.com customers enjoy, whether that's the analytics package, Apex code, etc. The web services API, which ties into the integration piece. In yellow, though, we have what Cloud MDM brings into Force.com that never existed before. So we've got that data space, the staging environment. We've got the complete business logic package that includes the fuzzy matching engine, the duplicate remediation, tweaking the performance settings, and then, of course, the consolidation and enrichment up to that single view of the customer. And then we reach down into that matching logic criteria, and we can bring that up to the surface. So we seal off the entry points of new data being entered by users, whether it's entering a lead, contact, or account, or actually converting leads over into contacts and accounts, which is traditionally a very risky area of moving data using standard Force.com functionality. This next slide is going to walk us through the process on a conceptual level. So down here at the bottom, we have three data sources, Oracle eBusiness, we have Dun & Bradstreet in the middle, and we have a Force.com account record over here on the far right. And you'll notice that the contact information is very similar for each of these records, and also at the very bottom, they each have their own version of a hierarchy. So this is actually really important. As we compare these first two bean records down here, they have a similarity score of 92.72. If we assume that we've put a threshold in place of 90 points that says anything that meets that threshold or goes above it is going to be aggregated underneath its own master record, and then we can apply consolidation logic on top of that. So I may want to take the account name from Oracle eBusiness, and I may take all the address information here from Dun & Bradstreet, and I want to consolidate that information to a master view up here on my master record. And then if we take a look and see what the next comparison is, obviously below that threshold as we compare bean 3 to bean 1, 63.55. And as we compare bean 3 to bean 2, it's also below that 90-point threshold. So it's going to get its own master record. So all of this is taking place under the surface of where your users are engaging with your customer records. From their point of view, they are engaging unique account records that has now been verified and justified underneath the surface by all of this governance and data mastering that you've done under the surface. The final stroke here is being able to reach all the way down through that three-tier structure to each of those data sources of staging data, those beans, and to reach into there and grab the hierarchy information. And as long as Cloud MDM has two attributes of data for each of these bean records, that is an external ID within a hierarchy and a parent ID within a hierarchy, it can extrapolate what the ultimate parent is in that relationship, and with those three attributes of data, can triangulate and place each of these accounts in a more complex structure and allow the users to indeed navigate between those lenses of cluster relationships with accounts. So let's take a look and see what this is like in the actual application. So I'm going to navigate to an account record in the database here. Let's take a look at the first one. And the first thing we want to do is surface up these potential duplicates to our users, either directly through the user interface, or we want to offer them up to a scheduled batch job to go ahead and run and mass auto merge. As I navigate down this page layout, you'll notice that we've actually got a nice table here where Cloud MDM has flagged three records as a potential duplicate chain. Not only the record I have in focus on the screen, but also these two that are listed in this table. So Cloud MDM executes standard Salesforce merging behavior. It's a great example of how building a master data management strategy on the Force.com platform can utilize just standard functionality of the product. And I, as a user, assuming that I have the permission set to merge these records, also very important, Cloud MDM works completely off the Force.com security model. So if I don't have the create, read, update, and delete permissions to merge these records together, obviously Cloud MDM is not going to supersede that. But I do in this case. So I'm going to go ahead and merge these. And just like any standard Salesforce merge, I have field-level granularity as to what field wins out in this merge. I'm just going to go ahead and merge it as is. And as I navigate back to this record, you'll notice no more duplicates found. If I were to do a search up here for this account in the global search, only one account would show up. But when we talked about that three-tier data mastering structure, Cloud MDM has actually brought a brand new point of leverage into Force.com. So I'm going to click this consolidated view button and get a direct vision into what that three-tier structure looks like. So up here at the top, I have the account information in this top band. Then I have the master record or master bean information in the secondary band. And down here beneath the surface, 3 levels deep, I have all the complexity of that staging data. And you'll notice all the multiple different data sources we have down here as well. Also 3 accounts. 3 of those are account records, and only 1 of those is associated to an actual account in Salesforce. So what's happened is when we merge those other 2 losing account records together, just like any standard Salesforce merge, the related records to those, that means opportunities, contacts, cases, including the beans, by the way, are all stripped from those losing account records and reparented underneath the survivor. Those 2 losing account records are sent off to the recycle bin, but we retain the beans that were related to them, the staging records that were related to them as a snapshot of that master data prior to the merge. And that just flows right along with the standard merge behavior. So I can go back to these original beans down here and indeed use those as a point of reporting, retention. If I wanted to create new account records from those, I could. But more importantly, from a data integration standpoint, it's a brand new piece of leverage in the database. So typically, if we assume that we have a daily integration going on with some back-end system, let's say it's SAP for the point of argument, every night it's going to perform what Salesforce calls an upsert operation. So it's looking for a unique external ID from SAP on the account record in Salesforce. If it finds it, it pushes updated information to that record. If it doesn't find it, it inserts a new record. So that's one pass called an upsert. If I just went through an extensive cleanup process and merged all my duplicates in Salesforce, tonight that SAP job is just going to go right back in there and dump those dirty duplicates into my account object. With Cloud MDM, however, we can actually subvert those integrations down to the complexity of this staging environment area, and they don't break after we've cleaned up the data. Indeed, you can look at this as a river of data that continues to flow underneath the surface of where your users are working at in Salesforce. And this ocean of complexity allows you to define the consolidation logic that will bring up the best elements amongst all this striation of data to this single view of the customer, bringing you a consistent, clean, duplicate-free, enriched version of this customer. Close out of this. Obviously, managing duplicates manually by merging these records is not the most efficient and effective way to do it. Cloud MDM actually offers up the ability to go ahead and mass merge those once you've got the system calibrated and you have a nice stewardship process in place, and we'll talk about that in a moment. We also want to extend that capability to users entering new data. So I, as a sales user, if I come in here to enter a new account record, I'm going to misspell it, as many users do. But I want to force them through that same exact fuzzy matching process. So based off of a misspelled account name, Cloud MDM actually allows you to define the behavior for null fields. So when users don't enter information, how do you want to treat that? As an exact match, as a potential half match? You control that behavior completely. In this case, we've got 100% null behavior on all these fields, so it's bringing up anything that could be close. As you see, there's a bunch of different ones down here in the staging area. But for our purposes, we want to drive users to existing records in the database, and that's exactly what we have done effectively here. So my user would be forced to navigate to this record that they found in the database. You can also extend the ability for specific users to bypass this entire process and go ahead and ignore and create this record anyway, even though there's a potential flag for a duplicate. And those would be your data stewards or system admins, people you trust with your data quality. So I am going to go ahead and navigate to the single view of this customer we just created. And you'll notice as I scroll down the page here that we actually have two contact-related lists here. One of them is leads. In Salesforce, traditionally, leads are very difficult to associate to accounts. But because Cloud MDM executes under the surface of the database, it makes no distinction between leads and contacts. They're just people. Once we've made those connections through that fuzzy matching engine, we can then surface those results up on both sides, thereby filling that gap that's always existed in the native Salesforce.com platform. So, and here we have a potential duplicate here, obviously different company, very, very related, similar. And notice as I navigate to this particular lead, the company name is different than what the account name was we just looked at. So what happens in a standard Salesforce conversion? Notice we have two convert buttons here. One of them is standard Salesforce and the other is our Cloud MDM conversion. Normally in an implementation we would remove the Salesforce version completely, but this is a demonstration and we want to show the difference. So if I'm a standard user trying to convert this with normal behavior, it's going to do one of three things. It's either going to not read that as a potential duplicate and have me create and bifurcate this account and contact in the database, and that's fairly typical. It's going to find the connection, which happens about 30% of the time, or even worse, when I click this drop down, I'm going to get 10 to 15, maybe more choices to choose from, and no user can be expected to make an intelligent decision based off of an account name for that. So what Cloud MDM offers is to execute that fuzzy matching process at the point of conversion, and based off of configurable matching logic, always find the correct answer and put it in there as first, and find the correct contact and put it in there as first. So now we also have visibility into the other related information as well as the standard behavior when converting these leads and contacts. So we've sealed up that entry point, filled in that gap, and that generally makes the marketing and pre-sales area very, very happy. And here we are back on this single view of the customer. So now let's talk about the fuzzy matching process. Cloud MDM actually offers you a data stewardship tool. We call it the fuzzy matching tab. And with this, you can compare any two records, whether they're the standard customer records or any of those staging records or master records, and you can compare those using whatever the configured business logic is at the time. So as we look at two very similar account records here, let's pick this one. We can see exactly why Cloud MDM made the determination that these were indeed duplicated records. So first of all, we have a total score up here, and then we have that configurable threshold, and just as we saw earlier, we've configured this one to be 90 points to determine when there's a duplicate. In the first column here are the fields being compared in the fuzzy match. In columns 2 and 3 there, we've got the values inside those fields for each of these records. Column 4 is a pure similarity score. So you'll notice that Acme Brick is 54% similar as Acme Brick supplier. And then in the fifth column is really where we exert our control and we define exactly how valuable each of these field comparisons are in determining an overall match between these records. We put a 75-point weight just on the company name alone. That would be significantly contributing to the threshold up here. This is exactly why we have the fuzzy match. So 54% of 75 points is 40.5, and that computes our weighted score. Now, we do have the ability to put in a hard breaker, we call it. So we can come to any of these field comparisons, and if we put a 200 weight score in there, that tells Cloud MDM if these two values when compared are not a 100% match, I want you to make this score 0 and move on to your next comparison. It allows you to create intended silos of duplication based on these hard yes or no checks. Beyond this, it's all simple math. We summarize the weighted score. It equals this amount. If it meets or exceeds this threshold, Cloud MDM will create a holding record for these, and they look like this. Very simple, very sparse information. We've compared these two accounts with this score. And you have three options here. You can choose to ignore this duplicate pair. If I check that, Cloud MDM will never compare those account records together again, and it will never auto-merge those. A user, of course, can go in and merge those if they have the permission set. The Cloud MDM will not if we automate that. You can toggle which one is the master record, or you can create your own fields like I have here with flag this for steward review. Now, what this means, because this is a standard custom object in Salesforce, is it's now opened up to point-and-click workflow configuration, more advanced Apex work, or as I'll show you in a moment, you can use third-party tools such as the Business Process Management Cloud Extend application that Informatica sells as well. So I could very easily go in and build out a process that says anything below the score of 90, I want you to check, ignore duplicate, move on. Anything above 100, leave it alone and auto-merge it. If there's a delta between 90 and 100, though, maybe check this flag for steward review and check ignore duplicate and assign a task to my data steward or my queue of data stewards to go and review that. So I can always have a gray area where my human user can go in and make a determination. Now, taking that one step further, if we look at a product like Cloud Extend inside the application, this allows you to build very beautiful, very easy point-and-click process management, and of course extends to Cloud MDM as well. So we can come in here and review some of these duplicates as they are in place, make a determination, yes, those are indeed duplicates, move through that list, and it holds all of this information in state. So if I wanted to go back at any point, it hasn't committed to the database. So it's a very nice, easy point-and-click workflow, and of course does much more than just the duplicate review process, but I thought it would be applicable to show during this demonstration. So we've cleaned up all the data in the database. That's the basic blocking and tackling of what you have to do before you build out an actual master data strategy. And in this particular example, we've brought multiple different data sources into that staging area, Dun & Bradstreet. We have some Oracle e-business accounts that we've brought in there as well. Address Doctor we've used to run all of our addresses through postal standardization. So this is an example of the point-and-click one. I click that. It makes a live web service call out, and 250 plus countries, completely standardized according to the way that you would do if you were to send it through the post office and get their best view. Of course, all of that data quality adds to the value of the fuzzy matching as well. But for our purposes, we want to bring in latitude and longitude from Address Doctor, the DUNS numbers and NAICS code from the Dun & Bradstreet, and we want our ERP IDs coming from our back-end Oracle system. Traditionally, this is also a very messy process if you're trying to do this directly on the account object. Cloud MDM, fortunately, once it's configured, makes this very easy. So as I click into the consolidated view here, we again get that visibility into that three-tier structure, and you'll notice under the surface here that we actually have Oracle, Eloqua, we've got EBS, Dun & Bradstreet. All of that information has been brought into the staging environment, and Cloud MDM allows you to prioritize on a field-by-field level, on a data source-by-data source level, exactly where the most valuable attributes of this data lies across this striation you've got down here. So when the consolidation logic runs, you'll notice we have null information here on the master record. And when the consolidation runs, either by a user clicking the button or we schedule tasks to be run, it brings that information up and masters it into a consolidated view, which then can turn around and enrich that single view of your customer. So no matter how your users are engaging your information through the user interface, over a website, through your iPhone, iPad, whatever that is, this information is going to be ready and prevalent and apparent to them as soon as they log in and look at that. And the final piece of Cloud MDM involves hierarchies. So I think we walked through earlier on, as long as we have a unique external ID, a unique parent ID, per each data source, Cloud MDM can extrapolate who the ultimate parent is and then lay these over into their own version. So as I scroll down the page, you'll notice we have a nice section here for hierarchies. And as I click this drop down, not only am I looking at the standard Salesforce account structure, I can edit this as well. So if I'm a user that has the permission set to do this, I can easily click Edit Hierarchy, do a nice fuzzy search, add in any accounts that I see fit, and you'll notice that it will pop in as a node under here. I will save that, navigate down, expand it out. You can see I've actually added that, and when I navigate to this record, you'll see that Cloud Cloud MDM has actually enforced that relationship in Salesforce. But beyond that, more importantly, the ability to ingest and automatically remediate these hierarchies is an enormous boon. So as I navigate to this Dun and Bradstreet view and expand that out, you'll notice that we can get really, really complex. I mean, multiple thousands of levels deep here in terms of these hierarchy nodes, which goes well above and beyond what Salesforce can do standardized. But more importantly, we can drive aggregated information based off of these particular lenses. So here when I click Show Details, I can see at a glance all of the opportunities, leads, contacts that are available through this particular lens of customer, and this is on an automated feed. So assuming that I've set up the integration to continue to push updated information into my staging environment, it's always going to be accurate and up to date here at the top. And as I navigate to my Oracle view, this may be a structure that's managed on the back end, but which I can also keep up to date and, of course, drive aggregated information based off of that as well. So Cloud MDM offers complete data management capabilities for all of your more advanced hierarchy needs. And then, of course, you can use that information to drive analytics, to push into other platforms, environments, and to expose throughout your entire organization once it's been mastered here. And that essentially is the functional and architectural overview of how Cloud MDM works. Darren, I'll pass it back to you now.
Excellent. Ravi Shankar has been leading a lot of Informatica's core MDM initiatives for some period of time, and he can provide a brief introduction into his area of focus. But a lot of the questions have been coming in around how what you've seen today from Josh on the Cloud MDM side, very specific to Salesforce and Veeva, and how that relates to the broader multi-domain or universal MDM from Informatica. So Ravi, why don't I hand it over to you, and you can really answer some of these questions and take us through the broader Informatica perspective on MDM.
Sure. Thanks, Darren. So just as an introduction, my name is Ravi Shankar. I run the product marketing for MDM here at Informatica. I came through the Hyperion acquisition, which is now branded as the Informatica MDM. Now, preface here, this is specifically for the pharma and life sciences, which is where Hyperion was very successful, and a number of customers using our Hyperion/Informatica MDM for managing multiple domain data within their enterprise, connecting to Salesforce, connecting to Veeva, in addition to a lot of other CRM applications and back office applications. So given that scenario, what I wanted to kind of explain to you is the benefits of how the Cloud MDM that is very specific, native to Salesforce and Veeva, integrates with the on-prem Informatica MDM and provides the sync across both of them. So the Cloud MDM on the left side is what you heard just now, which is very specific and native to Salesforce. And the multi-domain MDM is the Informatica MDM, which is very generic, has a flexible data model, and it is can be used in a very broad context across operational use cases and also analytical use cases, taking the data from the MDM for sales and reporting into data warehouse, BI, and so on. And it is hosted or it is available on-prem within your four walls. And it is broadly used right now. So the way Informatica multi-domain MDM works with the Cloud MDM is to provide a holistic view across all types of data. So you have the Cloud MDM that is very specifically focusing for doing the point of entry, deduplication, and managing the data just within that particular interface for your sales and marketing and customer service users, and it provides the best value of customer data within that environment. Now, the multi-domain MDM holds not only the HCP, the healthcare professional, the healthcare organization data, but it also holds other types of data, such as your product data, your location data, and so on. And it integrates with third-party data coming from IMS or AMA, and also to several of your applications. Now, by having the multi-domain MDM, in the next slide I will talk about how we do it under the covers, but the integration between Cloud MDM and multi-domain MDM provides one, in the Cloud MDM, very specific use case within Salesforce, and the multi-domain very broadly within the enterprise, expanding it to multiple domains. And the Cloud MDM, since it has already mastered the data, and it has standardized the data. When you feed that data back into the multi-domain MDM for the broader enterprise use, you're passing on better data, so you're accelerating the ingestion of the HCP or the HCO data into the multi-domain and making that broadly available to other applications, to other data warehousing or business intelligence systems. So, and also since the Cloud MDM has already deduped the data, the value that it brings to the multi-domain is that there is no more lot of matching that is required to be done on the multi-domain side. So it readily ingests the data, masters it, and it uses it. So essentially you're mastering the data in one of the systems and you're making that available in another MDM system. The hierarchies that you saw within the Cloud MDM that Josh showed are very specific to the accounts, leads, hierarchies. Within the multi-domain, you hold much more broader hierarchies across multiple domains. So the customers tied to products, to locations, and so on. Now, within Salesforce, while you're viewing the account hierarchy, we also have the capability to display the broader multi-domain relationships and hierarchies. So as you open an account, as you open an opportunity, you can see the account hierarchy like the Geico example that you saw, but also within that particular record, you can see which hospitals are they tied to, which locations are they practicing in. So you can see a lot of other sphere of network influencers, those kind of information right within the Salesforce and or your Veeva systems, and we enable that to a technology called the data controls. So how we do it under the covers, we have 4 specific capabilities. At the bottom level is the universal services that attributes to the universal MDM, which is the concept that I talked about in the previous slide, connecting the Cloud MDM to the multi-domain MDM. Under universal services, we have platform services such as your data integration, your data quality, your data synchronization, and federation that actually orchestrates the data between the source systems, between Salesforce and the MDM system. And you can do it in any modality. You can do batch, real-time, messaging, and so on. And also connected is the metadata, the business glossary, and the data quality for cleansing, profiling, and data standardization. Now, between the Cloud MDM and the multi-domain MDM, true to the concept of you master once, use anywhere, we are sharing the common, the model that is within the Salesforce and the model within the multi-domain. We can exchange the information across those two models. The history and lineage information that is stored within the multi-domain can be made available as you're bringing the data from the Cloud MDM into the multi-domain. And the rules, we are integrating the matching engine between the two products. So once you master it in the Cloud MDM, the same matching rules apply within the multi-domain MDM as well, so it can be readily used. So like this, there's a lot of integration that is readily exists between the two products that provides a lot of out-of-the-box synergy. And from the governance level, you have common components from a user interface like the data controls that I talked about that can be projected within Salesforce. The workflow that I talked about that Josh actually demonstrated within the Salesforce, the same on-prem component is available within the multi-domain MDM, so it shares the same kind of rules information. The hierarchies that are being exchanged between the Cloud MDM and the multi-domain MDM. So there are a lot of synergies between the two, and we are kind of orchestrating that on a backbone between the Cloud MDM and the multi-domain MDM, and we are providing synchronous data across the two systems.
Great. Thanks for the overview and update, Ravi. So that really takes us to the end of today's presentation, and we really want to just wrap up with a few next steps for you all. Hopefully you've gotten a good understanding of Informatica Cloud MDM for Salesforce and how Informatica Cloud MDM fits into our broader universal MDM strategy and solution set. So next steps as we see it are really to, first of all, help us understand your use case. You might have a regional MDM requirement where you want to deploy locally and consolidate globally. You may have in pharmaceuticals and life sciences an affiliation use case where you're looking to track HCOs and HCP relationships across all of your systems and really give your users that single view that they need to be more productive. And then finally, like any CRM customer we've ever worked with, you may be challenged with some degree of data quality. How do you make sure that you don't have a garbage in, garbage out situation? And one area to think about beginning is either in the area of deduplication or point of entry management across all of your devices and systems. So that's an overview of Informatica Cloud MDM, and hopefully you found this useful to help you think about accelerating your CRM success in the pharmaceuticals and life sciences industry, but also for anyone looking to really get the most out of Salesforce. And you can find out more about our Salesforce solutions on the App Exchange. You can look into demos and overviews of Informatica Cloud MDM. You can take a look at our data loader for Salesforce, our Salesforce integration. We also have a point of entry application, as well as our Cloud Extend solution for process automation. So thank you all for joining, and we look forward to working with you.